proud to join one of the top dads in all of the Vol dads with this football program, and that's Jalin Hyatt. His son Jalin had a remarkable performance yesterday, Chris. 5 touchdowns, breaking the old school record, which was, again, held by a handful of receivers with 3. 5 touchdowns. Jamie, welcome to the nation.
Hey, thank you for having me on, guys.
Jamie, I know you and Jalin share a special bond, talk a lot before football games. Everybody's had some fun with him predicting he was going to score on the first touchdown of the year and all that stuff earlier in the year. He was quick to point out last night he didn't predict 5. But just what kind of dream was yesterday? Because, again, having a big day against your biggest rival is one thing, but 5 touchdowns against Alabama is something that you just can't even begin to think about.
No, yeah, it was, and I don't think we've quite processed the gravity of it all. And but yeah, I knew that just from the past, I knew they were susceptible to the deep ball. I know their secondary and how confident we were going in with them. But we got to 1, and I'm thinking, oh, this is awesome, right? And then 2. And then 3 came along, and you're right, it was almost like dreamlike. And I remember looking over at my youngest son, Devin, and he said, Dad, on the 3rd touchdown, he said, Dad, Jalen's going to have 5 touchdowns tonight. And I was like, man, get out of here. And then, it was surreal for sure.
You guys are Nostradamuses. They used him all over and they do this, almost every week, but they really moved him around yesterday, tried to get him matched up against safeties and stuff. Just kind of take me through, kind of what you were seeing from the stands and just how they used him yesterday.
I think what I was seeing was, look, I guarantee you, even if you ask, the Alabama coaches or even Saban himself, look, it's not like they were running the wrong defense, right? They were running the correct defense. They were doing what they were supposed to do. And I knew that they were going to bracket him. But here's the deal. You can bracket him all you want to, but, how do you beat that? Well, you just run by him. And, unless you're recruiting guys that can run 4.2, they're not going to run with him. And of course, on top of that, when you have, Hendon that throws absolutely perfect balls and an offensive line that's giving them time to do it, it's almost unstoppable.
Yeah, I agree. Jamie, this is Chris Lowe. Thank you for joining us tonight. But what a treat to watch Jalin and that offense play. I love football, period. And we've all gone through that era years ago when it was defense was sort of the name of the game. Now it's offense, and Tennessee's offense is as tough as any to stop. But, I got some Carolina's ties. My oldest son still lives there. I remember when Jalin was coming out of high school. I remember talking to people over there, and he's a testament, your son is, to hard work, getting into the weight room, getting into a conditioning program, getting bigger and stronger, believing in yourself, and now look at where he is now. As you watched him go through that process, take us back through what that was like, sort of watch him grow as a player.
Right, and that was, even throughout Little League and stuff, we knew that, okay, he's fast. But you know what, there's a lot of kids in Little League who they're just faster than everybody else, and so they stand out. But I think one thing that stood out with Jalin was definitely his footwork at such an early age. But not only that, but his drive. Like, it wasn't me, forcing him, oh, you got to get out and you got to train. We're talking about a 7-year-old Jalin that would come and get me, and it's raining and fall outside. And he comes and gets me and says, Dad, I need, go out and tie me in the 40. Right. And so, okay, all right, let's do it. And, or go to the gym, and it's on a school night at 11 o'clock at night, when I should have his butt in bed, and he wants to go to the gym to work out, on the basketball. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I think anytime as a dad or a parent or a mother, once you start turning down those offers that they want to do, man, you squash everything that's in them on wanting to get better. So anytime, your young kids, they want you to kind of get them out, you got to do it. And then when he hit high school, again, I think he was lucky because he was with, Coach Tommy Knotts. You're talking about one of the top 3 high school coaches in the country that will go down in history. And he was just a mastermind. And so he really, he's had Jalin and Devin since they were 6, 7 years old. As ball boys. And so from then, that's when he really got he really started learning the game. And that's why he's so good at defensive coverages and recognizing that. And, but it's just to watch him, we knew that he had it in him. Again, it's just keeping him focused and, keeping away from the traps that are out there. And it's just, it's not a surprise per se, but it's so fun to sit back and just kind of watch his journey.
Yeah, I agree. And he's also, I think Jalen's also a reminder of it. Just because if you grow up a certain place and maybe some schools that are close to you, i.e. South Carolina, Clemson, aren't gaga about you, that doesn't mean it's not going to work out for you somewhere else. I wonder, where was he weight-wise and strength-wise as a senior in high school, Jamie, compared to where he is right now?
He fluctuated so much, right? And so in the off season, of course, since you're not burning that many calories, you get a little bit of weight. But once that summer, of course, in South Carolina and Columbia, South Carolina, and Coach Knotts had them constantly going, that's when he'd start to lose some weight, and he just couldn't kind of keep it on. And but still, strength-wise, now that's a whole other story, right? Strength-wise, he's always been a strong kid. I remember the strength coordinator coming up to me his ninth grade year, and I think Jalin weighed like 135 at the time, and he told me, look, I want to take Jalin to a strength competition. And I said, wait, what? And he said, yeah, power clean competition. And I said, are you kidding me? He said, Jalin is very strong at power clean. And then that made sense because the power clean, Olympic movement, that is sprinting and explosion. But evidently Jalin, just because of his form, because of his muscle makeup, he was just so good that he could power clean much more than his weight should allow. And sure enough, he goes to it and he gets like second. And but yeah, his senior year, he might have been sitting at, I don't know, maybe 155, maybe close to 160. So that's where he was, but he was still strong because, again, Dutch Fork's weight room, they got one of the best strength coordinators in the country. It demanded that, they were in there working. So he's always been strong. He just hadn't been heavy. But that's his body type. That's how he's made.
Jamie, you're talking physically there. I want to talk mentally.
Yeah.
He just a year ago, he was down in the dumps. He was walking through the facility with a hood over and then just head down hanging. And now he walks in. His head's held high. The kid mentally just seems like he has matured a great deal in the last 365 days. Can you tell that? Because it sure feels that way to me just talking to him, just when we're out in the complex. And he just seems like he's carrying himself not like a 19 or 20-year-old, but more like a 24, 25-year-old.
No, you're exactly right. And look, and a lot of people may not understand or may not can understand, when they had the staff change up. Look, I mean, you've developed relationship with previous coaches. That hurts, right? That hurts, and I think that bothered him. And then the season starts going. He gets hurt against Pitt. I think he pretty much got knocked out there. And then look, I told him, look, don't. You're going to have to recover from the concussion you got. Don't think that they're just going to stop practice because Jalin Hyatt is hurt. The world doesn't work that way. And I think he kind of struggled with that, lost some of his confidence, I know for sure. And so throughout that time, I'm just trying to keep him engaged. And I said, Jalin, you got to keep working. You got to make plays when you get a chance. You got to be a good teammate. And, he probably fought that a little bit. And then I think thankfully, too, to the coaches there and to some teammates that really kind of rallied around him. And then, I'd say halfway through the season is when he decided, yeah, I'm going to keep working. I'm going to be a good teammate. And then, he again had a pretty good year, for the rest of those games. But I think really it was the off season and about January, right? January is when he calls me and we have this long talk and I could tell that he was another dude. And he just stayed in the facility and that's all he wanted to do. And I knew mentally he was in a different place and I just tried to keep encouraging him and it's paid off, and I'm just so happy for him. And you're right, a confident Jalin is a dangerous Jalin, and we've always known that.
Well, he's been plenty dangerous, joining 8 other Vol receivers yesterday with his 10th touchdown, the last one being his 10th. So only 8 Vols had ever gotten to double digits in touchdowns. He made the 9th. He is 3 away with half the season to go, plus who knows what else, what other games are on the pike besides those 6. From Marcus Nash's 13, which is a Tennessee record for a single season. So he is rolling right now, and we appreciate you joining us on the Nation tonight, and we'll see you next week for UT Martin, all right?
Thank you, guys.
That is Jamie Hyatt, the dad of Jalin Hyatt. Again, Jalin, 5 massive touchdowns yesterday, Chris, as Tennessee wins against the Crimson Tide